Hello, welcome back to this second part of my presentation on searching for academic information. Now, in the first part we talked about what is academic information, where would you find academic information, and now it's more about the searching for academic information. It's more about the process of how would you find something, how would you find this academic information, what kind of strategies can you use. And what I would like to do is to introduce you to one strategy. There are a lot of other strategies you can use, but I think this is one that I use with a lot of students, and which seems to work quite well, but just see it as a suggestion of one way of finding information, finding academic information. So this strategy has kind of 6 elements here, and the first one, of course, is to select a topic. Now, either this is a topic given to you as part of an assignment, or this is a topic you select by yourself, maybe a topic related to some experiences you had at work. So the first part, of course, is selecting a topic, and this could sometimes be not so easy process, but let's assume you have selected a topic. Then the next step would be to think about 2 or 3 keywords describing your topic. So I think that's quite essential, because what we usually do when we search these databases like Google Scholar, like Library Search, maybe something else I will mention afterwards like Medline or CINAHL, is we type in some words. So usually you don't type in whole sentences or questions. You stick to some keywords, some essential words which are relevant for your topic. You type them in. Maybe you can also, I will mention this afterwards, vary them a little bit. So use some terms and then vary them. For example, if you talk about older people, first time you use the term older people, and then afterwards you use the term elderly people. So you use different keywords, but they're all describing your topic and are essential for your topic. And the next step is then you choose one of the databases, for example Library Search and Google Scholar, and you try to find some articles that are really relevant. We can call them some lead articles, something that is really close to what you are looking for, very close to the topic you have. So try to find these lead articles, and once you have these lead articles, I would stop searching in a way and start reading these articles, because you will notice that by just reading the articles you will discover new articles, because as I mentioned before, a scholarly article has usually a long list of references at the end. So when you read the article you will be referred to these references, and very often these reference lists include very interesting articles that are of course related to the topic of the main article. And so by reading an article and looking at the reference lists, you will find other article, or you will discover other articles, and then you get these other articles, you read them, and they also have a reference list, and then you will again find other articles, and you can see. So this is how you kind of slowly, just by reading something, by reading articles, you will build up a kind of a web of knowledge, and you will find similar articles. Another thing you could do is you could use a tool, and I will show you afterwards, that is offered by Google Scholar, which is to find relevant articles. So if you have one article that's relevant, try to find it on Google Scholar, and then click on related articles, and then you will see that very often some interesting related articles come up. And then as a last step, you can look at databases like PubMed, Medline, for example, or another one like CINAHL, I will show you afterwards, to find or to discover additional articles. But very often you do this maybe as a kind of a backup, just to make sure that you haven't missed anything, because very often by just doing the first, let's say, 3 steps, so finding a lead article in Google Scholar and Library Search, reading the article, harvesting the reference list, using Google Scholar to find relevant articles, you will come up with a bunch of articles which may be the core articles for an assignment. But then you can use these other databases like PubMed, Medline or CINAHL to discover maybe additional articles you haven't found during the search process before. So that's the idea, that's the theory of a search strategy, which is about a topic, finding keywords, finding the lead article, using tools like Google Scholar and Library Search to find these lead articles, reading the article, harvesting the reference list, using features in Google Scholar like relevant articles, and then maybe at the end using other databases like PubMed, Medline or CINAHL to discover additional articles. Now let me show you this in practice. So for example, if you have a topic area like this one here, so it's about spectacles and about the non-tolerance of spectacles. So if you have this topic area, then of course this would be your main keywords, no? So when you try to find something about this topic, you would type in spectacles and you would type in non-tolerance as your main keywords. What you could also do is during the search process is to vary the keywords a little bit. So instead of non-tolerance, you could use the term failure, or maybe intolerance, or maybe dissatisfaction, or maybe the term non-compliance could be an interesting term you use together with spectacles to find something. And once you have decided your keywords and you have an idea what kind of words you would like to type in, and then again for spectacles you could spectacle wear, eyewear, glasses, so you could also use different terms for the term spectacle. And once you have done this, once you have thought about the keyword, you can start searching it, and you can use for example a tool like Library Search to do an initial research and to see if something comes up. So Library Search is as you have seen before in the first video, it's a very straightforward tool. It has a single search box to search across a different range of resources, books, ebook, journal articles. It tries to be very intuitive. It presents the results in a list which is usually linked by relevance. And another thing is that when you search Library Search as compared to Google, for example, you usually can be sure that you find some quality resources there that you can use for your assignment. So let's do this now. Let's go to Library Search. Let's go to Library Search, sorry, okay, and then let's type in some spectacles and non-tolerance. So if we type this in, spectacles and non-tolerance, and we search for this, then let's see what comes up. So what we have here, obviously, as you can remember, there are no books about, so we couldn't find any books, but there is something. So obviously, if you look at this, there seems to be one article. So investigating of the causes of non-tolerance to optometric prescriptions for spectacles. So this could be something interesting. It was published 2010, so it's not too old. So there's something we could use. Now, what I would do now is there's not a lot of articles here. What we could do in a way is to continue here the results if something else comes up here, but obviously the database doesn't find more. So what I would do now is, obviously this is not an easy topic. It seems like there's nothing coming up at the beginning. What I would do is I would have a look at this article. So view content, and I would do what I described before. I would try to access the full text of the article and maybe have a quick read of the article, and then look at the reference list here. So if you look at the reference list, then maybe I can discover some similar articles. So let's go down here to so that's a reference. So that's quite a long reference list. Now the article was published in 2010, so usually the reference list refers to older article. So I have to be careful. You see there are a lot of older articles than 1997. But if you start looking through this reference list, that you might find something interesting. So for example, this one here, no, Eliot, The Art and Science of Prescribing Classes. That sounds maybe interesting. Or this one here, 2005, it's a little bit, but dispensing causes of non-tolerance. So this could be eventually something that might be interesting. And then we have another one. Let me see here. This one here, 2006, prescribing spectacles, reasons for failure of spectacle lens acceptance. So I mean, obviously there is not much on this topic, so I would tolerate even a little bit older article and see if I can do something with this. So I could see, okay, this one sounds really interesting, so I will use this. Maybe you can read the article, but in this case reading the article wouldn't really be helpful because it's a very old article and the references they have would be even older. So we have to do something different. So what I would suggest is here, use this article here. Of course read it because it may be an interesting one, try to find it, but then use it in Google Scholar to maybe discover other related articles. So what I would do is, remember this name here, I can't really pronounce it, Rinchuk maybe, prescribing spectacles, and trying to search this on Google Scholar. So what I would do is, I would go to Google Scholar. Okay, so this is Google Scholar, and now I would try to prescribing spectacles, and then I have to remember the words. Rinchuk. So that's obviously the name of the author. Okay. Let me see if. Okay. Now here, so you can see I found the article here, so that's the article of Rinchuk. Now what I would do is, first of course you can read the full text here, because obviously we have the full text. So if you click on CCU full text, remember we have connected Google Scholar, then full text Wiley. So this would be the article. So I have at least a second article about this topic, so that's a starting point. Now what else I would do is, I would go back to Google Scholar. So that's Google Scholar, and would see if there are some related articles. Now Google Scholar has some very interesting features, these two features here. The one is related articles, so this gives you related articles to the one here, and then cited by. This is a feature that gives you articles that cited this article after it was published. So it is very likely that there are articles about a similar topic. So let's first try related articles and see what comes up. So this is the one we have. Reasons for return of patients. That's quite an interesting one, but it's a little bit old here, 99, so that's not something I would usually use. The effect of correct visual performance spectrum, this could be interesting, but 2001 is also not very interesting. Let's see what we have here. This could be a newer one. Maybe this is related. I'm not sure how topic wise this is one related, but at least there are some articles that could be interesting here. So this would be one way of discovering other articles. Another way would be to go to cited by. So let's see how many these are the articles that have cited this article. Maybe this one here. This could be interesting. No tolerance to prism introduced by ready-made specs. So this is related to ready-made spectacles. Again, obviously the ready-made reading spectacles failed the required standards, so this could be an aspect of the problem. But you can see how this works now, I think. So by starting with one or two articles and using features like Google Scholar's related articles or cited by, you can discover other articles, and then you might read this article if it's a newer one, and then go to the reference list, and then this help you to might find other articles. So that's a way, we call it a kind of citation search also. It's a very effective way of finding article by doing this, finding some lead articles, going to the reference list, going to related articles. So this will be one way, and there's always part of it is always reading. So you always stop the searching process. You read an article, go to the reference list, and then find something else, because the reading gets you more into the topic. You will, when you read it, you will also get familiar with the terminology. So you might then come up with new words you can type into the search box, and this might bring up some better results. And then, of course, what you could do as a kind of a backup is to use other resources. Now let me just see what we have here. So I give you the demonstration. As you can see, we found this article in the reference list. Then we try to find Google Scholar. So this is about Google Scholar and how it could help to find other articles. Then we did the demonstration, and there's always the reading aspect in it. Yeah, so don't forget this. I really like to emphasize this. And what we could do now is we could look at other resources, like for example PubMed, Medline, or another database we have, CINAHL, and maybe we find something there. So let me just have a look at PubMed now. So a way to find, so PubMed is a database which actually is called Medline, and it's the main medical database we have. So it's a huge database, very extensive database, indexing about 5,000 journals, including a lot of journals which might be relevant for your topic area. So a lot of ophthalmology in there, a lot of articles about your topic area. So how would you find it? So you type in PubMed, and then it comes up here, and you say home, and this is the start page. Now what you could type in is, for example, we could go on with the non-tolerance or another topic. We remember the first one we had is the contact lenses, so contact lenses and the comfort we have. So if you search for it in PubMed, then it gives you some results here. But there is a very interesting feature in PubMed, and this is one of the reasons I show you. So here you have sort by, and the good feature is this one, the past match, because sometimes when you start search, it first selects it by most recent one, which is good, but sometimes the topic is not very good. But if you select it by best match, as I did here, then usually you get quite of interesting articles, and you can see this here. Most of them are dealing with the topic of comfort and contact lenses. And if you click on an article, then this is the article, and then here you would have the link to the full text. So this would bring up the full text. So this would be, for example, another database you can use to find academic information. And the last one I would like to show you is CINAHL. CINAHL, it's very funny because it's called the Cumulated Index of Nursing and Allied Health Literature. So you would expect that there might not be a lot for you in this database, but actually the database indicates includes a lot of journals which are from your topic area, so it's worth looking at this database. So for example, if you click on find databases here on library search, and then you click on see, then you could find this database. So it's this one here, CINAHL, and click on CINAHL, and then this search interface comes up. What I would recommend you is to not use the advanced search, which is by default here, but use the basic search. It's a little bit easier at the beginning. And then, for example, you could type in contact lenses and comfort. So this, and then you can see if you search for this, you can see there are articles about this topic here. So this one here, red-eye tutor, so that's about comfort. So that's it's another resource. And the interesting thing is, by combining these resources, so we had about 4 resources now, that sometimes you just by using another resource you discover other articles you didn't discover by using Google Scholar or library search. And that's why it's often quite helpful that, not maybe at the early stage, so you don't need a lot of search engines at the early stage when you start searching for something. I think library search or Google Scholar is enough, but then at one point it is interesting to go to PubMed, for example, or to CINAHL to try an additional search and see if not something else comes up that we haven't seen before. Okay, so this was about PubMed and CINAHL. One of the things that when you have a search and a search strategy is always about the limits. So one of the limits we talked about were the time. So we usually say it's about maximum 10 years for health related topics, 5 to 10 years. Then other limiting or refinements could be the language. So you could say, okay, you want only English articles, but you will notice that most of the articles in scholarly journals are in English. What you could also do is refine it by geography. So maybe add UK as a keyword, for example, and then it narrows it down to more UK related resources. Another way of limiting it down would be gender or age, so maybe you're only interested in women, or only interested in men, or only interested in children, or only interested in older people, for example. Then you could limit it to the type of publications, or more peer-reviewed journals, and the one I already said is the date here. This I think is quite important because it helps you to focus your search a little bit. I mean, I just want to mention a few journals which might be interesting, and the ones we have and the ones we offer are bold. So the ones which are not bold we don't have at the moment, so we don't have access to these journals. But what I would like to emphasize is that the idea of the databases like Google Scholar, like Library Search, like CINAHL, like PubMed is to search within these journals. So you don't have to go to these journals individually and search within the journals. I think it's not necessary anymore. You can do this by searching the databases, because the databases, these big databases, they index all these journals here, and if there is an article published in these journals, then it would come up in your search. So you don't need to go to the individual journal. Of course, it's important, and maybe there are one or two journals where you say, okay, this is an important journal for me, and I would like to look at this journal more often, maybe read new issues if they come out to stay up to date. So this is something else. But for the searching, or for the searching for academic information, you wouldn't search usually in individual journals, because you have the database and these journals are indexed within these databases. A last thing I would like to mention, and this is quite an important thing, is searching from home, searching off campus, because this is something that you will do all the time. Now there's one thing that is really important, or two things are really important. One is that you're signed into Library Search. Remember, when you go to Library Search, just log on. And the other thing, and this is maybe even more important, is something called Open Athens. So Open Athens, just let me briefly explain this to you. Open Athens is, let's start in a different way. So because you're off campus and you want to use our resources, there has to be a system in place that checks if you are authorized to use our resources, which means if you are a student of Christ Church University who is allowed to use our resources. Now the system we have in place that does this is Open Athens. So whenever you try to access a resource off campus from home, you have to go via this Open Athens route. Otherwise you wouldn't be able to access them. And if you look at the video I produced about how to access online ebooks, you will see that the Open Athens comes up. So when you try to access an ebook and you click on it, then a window comes up, a page comes up with this kind of purple Open Athens page. And there are two options. First is you type in your username and password, and the other one is find your institution. What you would do is find your institution, Canterbury Christ Church. Then you will have the Open Athens login, which is a login with your usual username and password, and then you can access a resource. So this is with ebooks. So this is, it's very straightforward, but you always have to go in via this Open Athens route. The good thing is, once you have done this once, you don't have to do it again. So something is saved on your computer, kind of cookie, and it refers to this cookie when you try to access Open Athens via an institution, and you don't have to do the sign in again. So Open Athens is essential. It's essential to access resources remotely. One tricky thing is, whenever you try to access a journal article, then very often you click on view content, or you use Google Scholar, you click on the link where you get the full text, and then you come to a publisher's website telling you that you should pay them something for the article, or you should start a subscription or something like this. Now, whenever you read this, never pay for the article. What you do is you look out for the Open Athens sign-in. There must always be some Open Athens link or something like this, because otherwise we wouldn't buy the resource. So look out for the Open Athens links, and when you see the Open Athens links, when you see it, then click on it, and then you will see this window coming up. Choose your institution, Canterbury Christchurch, sign in, username and password you have, and then you can access the PDF of a journal article. If you don't do this, then you wouldn't be able to access. So Open Athens is really crucial. And I know we had some problem with Open Athens, and some students couldn't access their journal articles via Open Athens, but I hope we have sorted this out now, and it should work. The best thing to check is to try to access an ebook, because if you access an ebook on Library Search, click on the ebook, and then Open Athens comes up. Try to sign in, and if it works, then your Open Athens account works, and you can access not only the ebooks but also the journal articles. Okay, another way, so another problem you can have when you try to access resources is that we don't have a subscription of the journal. So we have a lot of subscriptions, but maybe we don't have a subscription, and one of the services you can use to get you the article would be our interlibrary loan service. So if you can't find an article because we don't have a subscription, then you can go to this link here, and if you go to this link, then you will see a page telling you how to make a request. So basically it's you fill out the form and then you send it to an email address. This are my colleagues. They try to get the article from somewhere else, usually from the British Library, and then they will send you the article as a PDF. So that's the interlibrary loan service you can use if you don't find the article. But just remember, there are a lot of ways of finding the article. So try Library Search, try Google Scholar. Remember that on Google Scholar there are a lot of free articles, so we don't have a subscription, but you can access them anyway. And another way would be, if you can't find it on Google Scholar, I would always try to find the article on Google. Maybe somebody uploaded it somewhere, and then you are able to find it. So there are lots of options to find the article, but if you can't find it, then interlibrary loan would be the last option. Okay, so as a summary, what we did in this session was we talked about academic information. We talked at the beginning about the characteristics and features of academic information, like remember, a long reference list, it's written by expert for experts, the terminology, the language used, it's the structure. An academic article always has this structure with aims, background, methodology, results, discussion, conclusion. So that's the characteristics of a scholarly article. Then we talked about the tools where you can find academic information. Use Library Search, Google Scholar, PubMed, CINAHL, or if you're looking for guidelines, for example, don't forget the APTO website. And then we talked a little bit about search strategy in the second part, about finding a lead article or some lead articles, reading the article, harvesting the citation, using the related articles feature on Google Scholar, for example, or the cited by feature, using keywords, some essential words, don't use too many keywords, and then maybe using additional databases like PubMed or CINAHL. And then at the end, and please don't forget this, if you want to access resources off campus, you always have to go via Open Athens, otherwise it wouldn't work. Okay, so last slide here. So this is my this is the support information. This is my email address. So whenever you have a problem, your Open Athens doesn't work, you can't find anything, please contact me via email and I try to help you. You can also call me. Another way of helping you, if you really get desperate, we can arrange a one-to-one meeting via Skype. So this is my Skype name here, and we can arrange a meeting. You can share your screen with me, and then I can look at the problem and hopefully I can help you. And another way of contacting me would be Twitter. So this is my Twitter account. I try to tweet regularly some interesting things, but you can also ask me some questions. Yes, I think this was it. This was my presentation. Don't forget there are some additional resources on Blackboard. I have a very nice video by the Newmark Library about what are scholarly articles. I think it's a very nice video, very clear, telling you the characteristics of academic and scholarly articles. There are some videos on library search and how to use library search. So I hope this was helpful, and don't forget, if you have any questions, please contact me. Thank you very much.